What motivates us? What are our behaviors governed by? That's going to be the topic of today's conversation with Coach Roy and myself. We'll be joining in a moment. I'm going to be discussing, what are the possible motives we have for our behavior and how aware are we of those motives? Are we choosing them directly? Are we intentional about them, or are they happening by accident? Roy is going to be joining. Roy's coming on here in a moment. Feel free to share in the chat where you're joining from. Love to hear where you guys are from. Hey, Royski.
Hello. Good to see you.
Behavior. What's the motivator?
Congrats. Yes. In my studies, I came across a character by the name of Elias Porter. And Elias Porter is a 1950s psychologist who did a whole study on relationship awareness theory, as he called it. And I was really intrigued in this, in the article, because of, we're relationship coaches and we're in this lovely company called Love Over Fear. And I got quite intrigued by what he's actually speaking about. And his relationship awareness theory is 4 parts. So we'll just go through the first one today, but I want to read you the first, what they are, and then we'll discuss the first one. So the 4 are: behavior is driven by motives. The second one is motives change in conflict. The third one is strengths can be overdone or underdone. And the fourth one is filters or points of view influence perception. So let's go back to the first one. Behavior is driven by motives.
And can you remind who's this person? This is a person. You got a book. Say the details again.
His name is Elias Porter, and he was a 1950s psychologist who did his doctorate on relationship awareness theory.
Relationship awareness theory. Okay, so this is how he's breaking down relationship awareness theory, which I imagine everyone who's following and engaging in this work is interested in their relationship awareness. So we're going to talk about the first pillar of his theory. And I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for sharing where you're from. It's so cool to see, just as you were talking, Roy, all the different locations people are joining in from: Brazil, Russia, Colorado, Canada, Toronto, Muskoka, Monterey, California. It's really awesome. So thank you guys for sharing that. So the first pillar here, say it again out loud so we can get it clear.
The first pillar is behavior is driven by motives.
Behavior is driven by motives. Awesome. Well, I'm excited to this because I can see how two parts of this I see of it is, are we clear about what our motives are, or are they happening by accident? Because if it's so important that it's driving our behavior, if it's actually causing us to go one way or another or act one way or another, then it's like, man, it sounds pretty valuable to be intentional about what our motives are. And I know, actually, I'll leave it there. I've got a couple personal shares, but yeah, let's get into it.
Okay, great. So I love the heading, relationship awareness theory. So let's just break this down. Behavior is driven by motives, which begs the question, what awareness do we have of our motives? So what does that mean? And there's a question here, can someone not act into their motives or from their motives? Well, let's just look at that. We all have motives for why we do anything. So where we're looking at from is actually asking the question from the point of view of being so self-aware that you know exactly what it is what motivates me, us, to be in relationship. So is it food? Is it accommodation? Is it sexuality?
Well, for me, I'll give some personal examples. Like in high school, I was motivated by attention. I wanted to get people's attention. I wanted girls to like me. I wanted people to see me. And then moving in to university, I was motivated by sex. Sex was a huge motivating factor for me. Beauty. so motivated by that. That made me want to do different things to attract beauty and to have sex. And then what brought this work forward, I would say my biggest motivation was family. It was like when I went through, I don't know what, my third or fourth brutal breakup, it was like the same horrible feelings and the same ineffective, painful relationship. And then I was like, I so badly want a long-term, loving, committed relationship. I'm so motivated by that. I'm going to hire a relationship coach. I'm going to take my personal development way more seriously than I was before. Like, totally proving this theory right here. It's like that motive made me take actions in particular things. And now, you and I would say, are motivated by spreading this work to as many people as possible. Motivated by having people actually have the kind of relationships that they think are impossible or have been elusive to them. And that's what has this behavior, you and me, behaving on this live.
Yes. Yeah, well said. However, you're very aware of what it is that motivates you to be in a relationship. So I'm going to give the opposite example where I was motivated to have a child and be a father. I wasn't motivated to be a husband. I'm a gay guy, and I married a woman so I could impregnate her and have a child.
But were you aware of that motivation?
Yes, I was. In the back of my mind, I was aware of it. However, I did not bring it forthright out into the open. Nowadays, that's perfectly acceptable to say that out loud. I don't want to marry you. I'd like to impregnate you and have a child. And we're not going to live together. We're not going to be married. That nowadays you can say that. And in the early 70s, that wasn't acceptable.
Depends who you're talking to, but yeah.
Yeah, it depends on who you're talking to. However, so there, because of the motive being buried versus forthright, there were lacks of integrity that ended up happening.
Mm-hmm. And
then, of course, the relationship broke down. Now, years later, we're best friends, and their grandkids are involved in our lives. Our son lives on the same property as his mom. We see each other all the time. So that's now it worked out. However, the potential for breakdown was massive because, well, it did break down because the motive wasn't declared from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, she didn't really have a choice because she didn't actually know what my motive was. Mm-hmm. My motive was to be a father, not a husband.
And how many of us have got into relationships and not shared or even been aware of what our motivations are? I think so many people who follow us are, maybe they're in a situationship. Maybe they want kids and their partner doesn't. Maybe they don't want to be stuck in one location and their partner never wants to leave that place. Mm-hmm. But are we sharing this? Are we even aware of it? Mm-hmm. And these are pretty macro examples. We could even break it down into micro examples of like being in an argument. Well, why am I yelling or why am I shutting down? Well, I'm motivated to be right. Or maybe I'm motivated to have you feel pain. I feel pain. I want you to feel pain. And that's my motivation for shutting down or yelling at you or breaking up with you. Because I'm scared to address this thing that I just realized I really wanted. It's all over the place. I think to me, this makes this perfect sense. Our motives dictate our behavior.
Yeah, exactly. And it's driven by it. Now, we could take each one of these words and break them down, and we may do that on one of our calls. But the word behavior alone. So is the behavior that we're demonstrating, is that random behavior? Is that behavior that is dictated by the motive? Is it behavior that I can manage and I have control over? Or is it behavior that is just out of my control and I have no say over my emotions that come from my behavior? So all of those, without knowing what the motive is, then we could end up in with behavior that we are wondering, why the hell was I sitting there crying when I was actually mad? Or why did I tolerate that nonsense from that person? And typically it's because we don't know what our originating motive was or is.
Yeah, we're not connected to it.
We're
And
not
that's why in our
connected.
program, one of the first things we do is we get really clear about what your motivations are. What do you really actually want? Are you connected
Mhm.
to it? Shape every choice that we make.
Well, yeah, and I love that, because what you're saying is with what motivates us, we're either willing to participate in it or unwilling. It's either workable for us or it's unworkable. So where then from that information comes the choice. When I am crystal clear of what my motives are in relationship, then I can now be conscious and aware of my behavior. And if I do get annoyed, well, if I am aware of what my motive is, if I want vengeance on this person, well, my behavior is going to be one way. Or if I want sympathy if my motive is to get sympathy, or if my motive is just to get a freaking hug, then
Right.
the behavior is driven by what is my actual motive.
Yeah. Yeah. And can we be honest about what those motives are? Have you heard of this term doom scrolling?
No, that's new for me.
It's new for me
Sounds
too.
ominous.
As of last month, it's new for me. It's when you're scrolling on your phone on social media, TikTok, Instagram, whatever, and you're scrolling and like an hour or 2 hours go by and you don't even realize it. You're doom scrolling. You're like caught up in it. And so in that behavior, I would call that a behavior, doom scrolling. What are we motivated by? I would say we're motivated by dopamine. We're getting these
Oh, yeah,
hits,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
but we're not aware of it. It feels like it's happening totally accidentally. And it's something I've caught myself doing
Yeah.
lately. It's like, oh my God, first of all, how did I even get this app open? It seems like my thumb just kind of found its way to the button. And then all of a sudden I'm scrolling, I'm watching things I don't even care about. It's not valuable to me. It's not interesting. It's not helpful. It's not even entertaining. It might be something awful. And then it's like, what am I doing here? And then an hour goes by. It's like, oh my gosh. And this is like, again, there's micro examples of this. There's macro examples
Yeah.
of this. And our intention of sharing this with you guys listening is to invite you to get present to what you're motivated by. You know, in the big moments and in the small moments. In those big moments for your life, for your partnerships, for your relationships, for your career. You know, what really are you motivated by? What does that look like? Your dreams. You know, I'm watching this guy. I love him so much. I've told you about him. Probably lots of our followers don't know about him. His name is Simon Squibb. And he's this guy in England, and he walks around. He's a multi-millionaire, made a bunch of money as an entrepreneur. He walks around, puts a microphone in people's face and goes, "What's your dream?" And he's stated that 11 out of 15 people on average don't have an answer. 11 out of 15 don't have an answer. Well, if you don't have an answer what your dream is, we can already guess all your behaviors are habitual. They're automatic.
Yep.
They're not even, there's not a choice in the matter. And then for those 4 people that do have a dream, only one of them is clear about it. And the other 3, it's like most common answer he gets is to be successful. Well, what does that mean? We've got to define that. What does that actually look like?
Well, you're onto something here, because when you said the smallest motivations to the biggest motivations, well, what if the biggest dreams are fulfilled from fulfilling on the tiniest motivations?
I think without a doubt, that's exactly how it goes.
Like the actual tiniest ones. Like, and because when you were sharing that, I was thinking to myself, well, if we start with a very small, what motivates me to go down to the coffee shop, well, maybe it's seeing the handsome dude at the coffee shop versus the coffee. Maybe it's seeing the flowers in the hanging baskets on the way. Maybe it's free Wi-Fi. I'm unsure what it is. However, that when we get conscious of what's actually motivating us to get to the coffee shop, right now, I just had this thought, like the trip to the coffee shop then becomes like this incredible, passionate, joyous journey, whether it's 4 blocks or 10 blocks. There's an actual experience to get from point A to B when we actually understand what motivates us to get there.
Yeah, I hear it's a whole new kind of presence to
The
the
presence,
like
joy, the joy of it.
like some big ones might be I want to be a great husband, I want to be a great father. Okay, that's my motivation. Well, in the smallest aspect of that is like, okay, well, am I doom scrolling with my wife or son?
Yeah,
Right. That's
right.
my. Am I greeting my wife when she comes in and actually getting up out of my chair and giving her a hug and a kiss? Am I like last night? My son fell asleep in my arms. It can easily
No.
you can easily be tired and be like, oh, I'm tired. I want to go to sleep. I want him to sleep faster so I can go to sleep. And then it's like, no, this is what it looks like. This moment right here, holding my son. Yeah, my arm's a little sore, and it's like soon I won't get to hold him. There'll be a time when he doesn't want me to carry him anymore. And
Yeah,
my God, it's like my favorite feeling when he falls asleep on my chest. I
yeah.
love it so much. And then all of a sudden, the context of the whole experience changes, like you just said about the coffee shop. I mean, these moments represent our life.
Mm,
That's our life, but we don't pay attention to them. We pay attention to these
mm,
big, huge things, and then we get overwhelmed by even the idea of them. And then all
mm,
of a sudden, we're just going through the motions of our life, and years go
mm.
by.
I'm reminded of what the Buddha said, that our life is a series of nows for us to participate in. And I
Nice.
love that, because if that's what motivates me, is a series of nows to participate in, then life is full, joyous, adventuresome, courageous, loving, generous, wondrous. Like every one of those feelings and sensations, when you were describing your son, I had that experience myself, and I was right there as there's Simon with his son sleeping on his chest. Like, wow, what a now to live in that very moment.
That
That's carried for generations.
the quote of the day: "Life is a series of nows. Life is a series of nows to participate in."
Yeah.
Amazing. So, our invitation for you guys today, we're going to go through these 4 pillars over the next few lives that we do together. But our
Mhm.
invitation for you guys today is to look at one macro that you're motivated by and one micro that you're motivated by. What are
Mhm.
those actual motivations that are there for you? Let's see if you can get present to them and begin to participate in a way that matches those motivations.
Lovely. I love it. And then the next one we'll do is motives change in conflict. That's the next pillar.
And I love that one because anyone can be, doing all the great things in the moment when the sun's shining and you're feeling good. What about when your mom's mad at you? What about when your girlfriend said something that triggered you? And then all that shit goes out the window. So we're going to
Yeah.
be tackling that one next.
Yeah. That was fantastic.
Thank you so much, Roy.
Thank you. I love it.
All right. Talk to you soon.
See you
Bye.
soon. Bye.